The forgotten story of Kotoku Wamura. History has a curious habit of celebrating those who rescue people from disaster. It speaks less often of those who prevent the disaster from claiming them in the first place. The firefighter who enters the flames is rightly remembered. The soldier who shields his comrades becomes a hero. But what of the man who spends decades preparing for a catastrophe that may never come? What of the leader who is ridiculed, mocked, and accused of wasting his people's money, only to save them long after he is gone? This is the story of Kotoku Wamura, a quiet mayor from a small fishing village in Japan whose greatest achievement was not what he built, but what he foresaw. Along Japan's rugged northeastern coastline lies the village of Fudai. To visitors, it appears peaceful. Fishing boats drift gently in the harbor. The mountains embrace the sea. Children walk streets that seem untouched by time. It is difficult to imagine that this tranquil village sits on one of the most dangerous coastlines on Earth. For centuries, the Pacific Ocean has occasionally risen without warning, sending walls of water racing toward the land with unimaginable force. These are tsunamis. To those who survive them, they are not merely waves. They are moving mountains. In 1896, a devastating tsunami struck Japan's Sanriku coast. Entire villages disappeared. More than 20,000 people lost their lives. Many believed such a tragedy could never happen again. Then, in 1933, another tsunami arrived. Once more, communities were swept away. Once more, families buried their loved ones. For many, these disasters became fading memories. For one young man, they became a lifelong lesson. His name was Kotoku Wamura. He witnessed the destruction that the sea could unleash and carried those memories with him for the rest of his life. While others saw calm waters, he saw history repeating itself. Years later, Wamura became the mayor of Fudai. He was not a charismatic orator. He did not seek fame. He simply believed that leadership meant protecting people from dangers they could not yet see. As plans for coastal development took shape in the 1960s, Wamura proposed something extraordinary. He wanted to build a massive seawall and floodgate at the entrance to the village. Not a modest barrier, not a symbolic structure. He wanted a wall towering over the coastline, one designed to withstand the kind of tsunami that most people believed would never return. The reaction was swift. Many villagers opposed the project. It would cost a fortune for a small community. It would block the beautiful view of the sea. Some argued that the money could be spent on schools, roads, or other immediate needs. Others thought the mayor was allowing old fears to dictate the future. To them, the ocean was generous. It provided fish, livelihoods, and beauty. Why build a fortress against a friend? Wamura listened. Then he quietly continued. Great leadership is often lonely. The easiest decision is usually the popular one. The harder decision is the one that invites criticism today for the sake of lives that may be saved tomorrow. Wamura understood something that many leaders struggle to accept. His responsibility was not to win the next argument. It was to protect the next generation. Construction continued despite the objections. The seawall rose. The floodgate was completed, towering over the village. It looked excessive to many eyes. Some wondered whether the mayor had built a monument to his own fears. Time passed. The years became decades. Children grew into parents. Parents became grandparents. Nothing happened. The sea remained calm. As memories of earlier tsunamis faded, so too did any appreciation for the enormous wall standing silently between the village and the ocean. Perhaps some thought it had never been necessary after all. In 1997, Kotoku Wamura died. He never learned whether his life's greatest decision had been wise or merely expensive. History appeared ready to forget him. Then came March 11, 2011. At 2:46 in the afternoon, one of the most powerful earthquakes ever recorded struck beneath the Pacific Ocean. Within minutes, the sea began to move. Along hundreds of kilometers of coastline, sirens wailed. People ran. The ocean withdrew, and then returned with terrifying force. Entire towns vanished beneath black water, carrying houses, cars, ships, and everything else in its path. More than 18,000 people would lose their lives in what became known as the Great East Japan Earthquake and Tsunami. It was one of the greatest natural disasters of the modern age. The tsunami raced toward Fudai. The same village whose mayor had been told his wall was too large, too expensive, too unnecessary. The waves reached the floodgate. They struck the towering seawall with astonishing force. And there, they stopped. The defenses held. The village center behind them remained largely intact. Hundreds of families who might otherwise have shared the fate of neighboring communities survived because one man had refused to ignore the lessons of history. The wall that had once seemed excessive became the line between life and death. There's a quiet sadness to Wamura's story. He did not live to witness the moment that proved him right. He never heard the gratitude of the people he had protected. He never saw children playing safely behind the wall he had fought so hard to build. He left this world believing only that he had done what he thought was right. Sometimes, that is all history allows. Leadership is often measured by elections, applause, or public approval. But the truest measure of leadership may be something else entirely. It is the willingness to endure criticism in order to protect people who may never know they were in danger. The greatest leaders do not merely solve today's problems. They prepare for tomorrow's, even when tomorrow is decades away. Today, visitors to Fudai can still see the great seawall standing against the Pacific. It is made of concrete and steel, but it is also built from something far stronger: memory, responsibility, and the quiet courage of a man who refused to gamble with the lives of his people. Kotoku Wamura never defeated an army. He never discovered a continent. He never ruled a great empire. He simply chose wisdom over popularity. In doing so, he accomplished something many powerful rulers never have. He ensured that when nature unleashed its fury, his people would still have homes to return to. History often remembers those who stand bravely in the face of danger. It should also remember those who saw the danger coming long before anyone else. Kotoku Wamura did not leave behind a monument bearing his name. He left behind something infinitely greater: a village, still standing. If stories like this deserve a place in the annals of history, you're welcome to subscribe. Because sometimes, the greatest heroes are not the ones who are cheered in their own lifetime, but the ones whose wisdom is finally understood when it matters most.